We get quite a few questions asking why we do things the way we do here on the Secondhand Overland, our adventure in O-gauge trains. And my son and I have really enjoyed this project together. He enjoys just running the trains and all that stuff. I'm the one tracking it all down, building stuff, coming up with ideas, and he's enjoying all of it. I could probably just have whatever down here and he would still enjoy it. But there is a method to our madness. So instead of just saying, well, we do things the way we do because we do, and just let us do it, there is an intentionality to all of this. Why the layout is this shape, why we collect what we collect, even why there's carpet on for the grass. So there's a lot of stuff that we could go over in separate videos, so I figured I'd just put it all in one here. But if I don't get to a question that you want answered, just leave it down in the comments down below. Be happy to go over that for you, because there's no real right way to do this. There's just the way that we're doing it, and some folks will do it differently. Others, we all have different things that we're trying to get out of this hobby, and this is just the way we do it. So I guess it is kind of a, well, we do it the way we do, but there's more to it than that. So the big one, why is our layout shaped the way it is? And I've kind of gone over this in other videos, but as a bit of a catch-all for that, this isn't just a train room. This is the room you come into out of the garage when you're home. You go out the back door to the backyard. You go upstairs to the living room or downstairs to do some laundry. This room has a lot of traffic, and this room has a big blue sectional couch in here, and a TV that we watch. And so having larger curves, especially folks that are asking why I don't have 072 curves, well, it's because I can't completely dominate this space. Yes, the layout is big. Yes, it's pretty hard to miss when you first walk into the house. But at the end of the day, it's easy to walk in and out of this space here because there's not a bridge I have to go under. And really, that's the only way I could probably do 072 curves, is if I had some sort of bridge you would duck underneath every single time you wanted to watch the TV. That would be a bit of a pain. So, yeah, we have 048 turnaround sections at both ends of the layout that get you back to the kind of more flowing, less sharp turns that roll through the other sections of the main line here. And so that's all just making things easy to get in and out of and make this a space we can still use, even though you guys just see this portion of it. We started this whole thing on carpet a year ago in May of 2023, where I was literally moving around furniture to see where I could put a layout and not get in the way of just general foot traffic coming in and out of the room. And 048 turned out to be the widest curve that I could use without making it completely impossible to pass between the edge of the couch and that other turnaround section. I didn't break down any walls. I didn't go through anything. This is all still, if we decided to move tomorrow, we could just take the whole thing down. There's nothing attached to the walls. It's a freestanding, custom-built, pain-in-the-butt table. But it's cool. It's a unique shape. I get a lot of compliments about it as well. So, yeah, that uniqueness has certainly made part of this just fun, not just to enjoy here, but to share with you guys. Another big question is, well, why don't you get this, or why don't you get that, or why do you get what you get here on your home rails? And that's because, well, I wanted to make this kind of a moving history lesson for my son to enjoy. So we've not only focused on the good old Union Pacific because we're kind of in Union Pacific HQ land, but also wanted to keep things more specific to an era that he tends to enjoy more. Big boys and challengers, late steam era, early diesel era. Before diesels were boxes with letters and numbers, when they had a little bit of style to them, when you had streamlined passenger cars behind them, even just the curved roofs and such of some of the earlier diesels aesthetically is just more pleasing to look than a conglomeration of boxes. That's nothing against modern diesels or folks that enjoy the more modern side of things, but also by keeping things in a slightly older era, the rolling stock itself, or rather just the car design itself, is smaller. We don't have to worry about gigantic containers because they didn't have those in the 40s and 50s in the United States. So all of my bridges, they can clear things. There's no problem with with clearances for stuff like that. So it made it really easy to make the elevated line. And it's just worked out really well here. And it's been kind of fun to tie it all in to this era and to these trains. Now, you'll also notice there's not just Union Pacific rolling around here, but I have tried to keep it Midwest and Western kind of themed. Having some variety with the Denver and Rio Grande and Southern Pacific and Missouri Pacific and the Katy and other things like that, those all maybe would have crossed paths at some time, so it's kind of fun to have them here crossing paths on the Secondhand Overland. I've made a slight exception for the Pennsylvania Railroad because, well, I just am a bit of a sucker for some of those designs, some of those trains, so... And I guess there was a terminal in St. Louis, and Union Pacific would have met there as well. So maybe at some point, a Challenger pulling passenger cars would have passed by a T1 duplex. I don't know, maybe. It'd be cool. We've also focused on semi-scale, which I have been, pretty vocal about, and it's nothing against scale stuff, and again, we do have scale stuff here as well, but most of it's been semi-scale to try and just keep it all about the same size, and so we don't run into, clearance issues, and also to kind of help keep the cost down as well. These nice passenger cars are still semi-scale. If I had those in full scale, they would take up a lot more room, a lot more storage, and they'd also be a little bit more on the fragile side. Just the more details you get on something, the more easy it is for a kid to mess up. So at the end of the day, the channel's called Dadified. I am still a dad. I do still have a kid here that plays with these trains. And this couch makes it all easy for him to get to. So making sure that stuff is kid-proof is kind of a focus of ours. That's kind of unique. Not a whole lot of railroads that I see online really have to deal with that, or even try to.
I could ride on Big Boy. Ding! Ta-da!
And that kind of brings me into the third point here. Why is there carpet on the layout? Well, at first it was just a easy way to get green coverage everywhere, but I could have done that with paint. I wanted to do it with carpet, to deaden the sound a little bit from these admittedly noisy fast track rails on here. Yes, and I know, why did you use fast track? It's just what we had. It was easy to get. A lot of people start with fast track. Maybe when the kid's out of the house and I'm doing my midlife crisis remodel of this thing, maybe I'll go to something more realistic or nicer or whatever. But for now, fast track works okay. And the carpet helps deaden some of that sound. It also makes pretty easy cleanup. And I don't know if you noticed, but again, I have a kid, so having nice prototypical grass on here and rocks and sand and things that he can get his hands in and get everywhere and make a mess and screw up all the scenery. Again, the scenery has to be just as kid-proof as the engines that are running around it. That's kind of presented an interesting challenge because I like to make things look detailed and carpet kind of doesn't make it look detailed. So we're in this kind of weird middle ground of, yeah, we've got a background with some mountains, but we've also got, outdoor carpet from Lowe's sitting on all of the rails. I can technically have a little bit more fun with the elevated line since you can't really reach it right now. But that's a whole nother project in itself. And I'd like to make a lot more headway on that than I admittedly have. Still struggling with good ideas and construction techniques to A, build the rock wall around that elevated line, and B, still be able to access things underneath it, especially now that we've added a switch that goes underneath there. This is one of my favorite scenes, kind of slowly evolving and working on. The tunnels that are going underneath the elevated line have been really neat to kind of tinker with and mess around with, and that's something I hope to make more progress on over the summer. But yeah, again, very intentional with how kid-proof I'm making this layout. You know, the edges of this aren't sharp, so he can reach over and, you know, not screw things up or cut himself or break something. Making sure that there's not fragile stuff close to the track. Most of the buildings that are back here are further into the track, so he can't really reach them. But they're also Menards buildings, so if they do break, Elmer's glue, right, Larkin? So those are a few of the things that are just common questions that we get. I hope I kind of brought you up to speed with what we're doing here. And if you got more questions, leave them down below. As always, subscribe, like. We love hearing from you guys, so leave a comment. Let us know what you like, what you'd like to see more of. And we'll have more in the future, not just on the Secondhand Overland. Got a lot of other things that we're doing here as well. So we'll see you guys on the next one.